Hi everyone, my name is Janman. I work for the Diocese of Canterbury and I worship at St George's, Folkestone. Today is the 16th of April and today is my 30th birthday. It's not exactly how I planned on spending it, but there we are. By now the novel effect of working at home has definitely worn off, and as someone who lives alone, except for a very large 7.5 kilogram cat, this social distancing has become quite isolating, and I'm sure for many of you this may well be the same. So what can we do? Well, thanks to modern technology, I can video call my parents and my friends. It's by no means a replacement for the real thing, but it does help. Speaking on modern technology, not long before Lent began, I set up our church's Facebook page. That itself, I believe, was a Holy Spirit-led moment, because before we knew it, our church was closed, like many others. And here we had a platform ready to spring into action to host our morning and our evening prayer videos, and filled with other content to keep our church family connected to one another and to God. So if your church doesn't have this or is unable to live stream their services, then I urge you to find a church that does. And please don't feel like you're being disloyal to your church family, because God doesn't care. The only loyalty he cares about is to him. So find one online and plug in. That's the most important thing you can do. The Bible is full of letters and stories of God's immense love for us, and of his passion, his steadfastness, and his faithfulness. They're all situational, and for the most part, fortunately, I've never been in those situations where these words are written. But during this time of isolation, I find myself being drawn to Jeremiah and Lamentations. I feel like we're in a type of exile ourselves from our friends, our families, from our daily routines, going to work, coming home. And as we listen to the news, not bombarded with factual and more often than not non-factual information, this fear creeps in and it just sets there and manifests in so many ways. And we begin to wonder what the future holds for us personally and for our earth. And so with all this, I wanted to share with you some of Jeremiah's words that I feel speak into our situation, that I find myself in those dark moments reciting over and over, almost like a mantra. And as I repeat them, and as I find myself beginning to calm down, that darkness is lifted and peace is restored. So the first is from Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 11. And it goes like this. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. I've always loved this passage, and I have used it time and time again during uncertain times in my life. And it serves as a reminder and a promise that I am not alone, I'm not forgotten, that God knows me and he has a future for me. And importantly, he is good. You know, he could just say, now I've got plans for you. Yeah, you know, that there is a future. But there's this hope. There's this goodness, which is just beautiful. The second passage is taken from Lamentations, also written by Jeremiah during the same time of exile. This is from chapter 3, verses 20 to 24. I will never forget this awful time, and I grieve over my loss. Yet I still dare to hope when I remember this. The faithful love of God never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. The Lord is good to everyone who trusts in him. In this book, Jeremiah is lamenting about his people and their exile. he is crying out to God, what is going on? This is happening. And then he comes to a point where he too remembers. Yet, he says, that word yet. He could carry on down that dark spiral of loneliness and despair and darkness, but he chooses to lift his head up and remember the faithful love of God never ends. So when you feel overwhelmed, I pray that you be like Jeremiah and you choose to remember the goodness and the faithfulness of God, and may it bring you peace as it does to me. Amen.